Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special place. Now, about 6 years ago, I was...
It's fine. Need to move your coffee.
Sorry.
Unless you want to reach for it over there.
Was I invading your space?
No.
It's always slightly worrying when they decide they want to follow you. Here's hoping they lose interest. Okay, I'm ready.
What are those two circles on the screen?
That's camera business. No, they've always been there.
Okay.
I mean, in a nutshell, this is me.
I don't need to
in
know.
a nutshell.
I don't need to know.
Look, there's one. I think he wants to be a star.
What's on the screen, Dan?
A huge shawl, Kay.
Can you see all of it?
Places in the world that I love, but there's only one that I call my favourite. No.
Do giraffes have arms? They don't, do they? They have 4 legs, but you know what I mean. Welcome, everyone, to the Bakery Bears video show with... No, I've said it all wrong. That's excellent, that, isn't it?
Featuring Walking the Dales.
Thank you.
Kevin and I return with our most adventurous walk to date.
It's a good one.
So adventurous, in fact, that when I took Kay for a little walk on a small section of the walk that we did, we struggled a little bit.
Can I just quantify that?
And I'm also not saying that there's a problem with any of that. I totally understand why.
By saying that this small... So we parked at the same place that we parked that you will see. And then Dan made me and Bryony go down what I can only describe as a small mountain. And then we had to climb back up the said same small mountain. And the most bizarre thing was there was a house at the bottom of this mountain.
I don't think you would like to drive down the drive to this house.
We walked down the drive of the house.
We weren't being naughty.
No, it was a footpath.
Public right of way.
It was a footpath, but it was just like a gravel.
Yeah, that's...
I say drive. It was like this. You know, I was having to hold on. Dan was going first, and I was holding on to Dan, and then I was holding on to Bryony. We were like a little chain going sideways down this hill, and I kept slipping because it was gravel. But the house that was there, it was this most beautiful stone house. It must have been a farmhouse, I'm guessing. There was
I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe a farm worker.
A farm worker's house. It was quite a sizey house, really.
Yes.
For a farm worker, but
you've got to think that back in the day,
yeah.
The farm workers, I mean, still now, I mean, it's changed now because of machinery and things like that, you know, less people can do more, can't they? So you don't need as many workers. But, you know, back in the day when travel wasn't quite so simple and the machines weren't there would have been a lot more highly paid labourers working in fields. You'll see all this later in the show, because not only do we have a lovely walk in the Dales, but Kay has some absolutely mind-blowing what's off your needles. With that in mind, I'd just like to thank all of you for your lovely advice on knitting bobbles. Kay is now through the section. No more injuries, I don't think. No,
I was all right. And I think if I do a lot of bobbles again, then I would have a look at this whole knitting backwards thing. A lot of people suggested that, you know, instead of turning the work and purling those few stitches, you can knit backwards. And I've never tried that, but I am intrigued by it, so... If you're wondering why we're talking about bobbles, if you've dropped in and you haven't seen the last couple of episodes, it's because Kay has finished, and it does look marvellous, and I can't wait to wear it. The Cowboys and Angels. Did you hear that? Sure. You bananas. You all know it's true, don't you? Bananas to you, man. You're not having it. Bananas to you. That's coming later in the show. Also, as well, we teased it last time. We showed it on our most recent patron-only show live, which was last Sunday. But the buttons are now on the Claire Quad. Yes. And we will be showing you later on in the show, and also letting you know. You do know where you got them from, don't you? Yes, I've got them. And the shop name's there. Yeah, I do. Because I know where I got them from. How can I not know where I got them from? I was being silly. Because I bought them. Now, Kay segued beautifully into
family trees. And you may be wondering, how is talking about farm labourers segueing into family trees? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because I think it happens to all of us as we get a little bit older. And I think also as well, it's all the adverts that you see on the telly.
Do you see a lot, don't you? Ancestry.co.uk and all those ones.
And it sort of makes you think, ooh, I'm going to find out so much and it's going to be so easy. Well, anyone who's researched family trees will tell you that's simply not true. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort. And also as well, these ancestry.coms, they only go back to about 1700s.
Right.
So actually getting back any further, that's when that's actually when you get to the that's when you get to the meat of it.
That's not really that far back, is it, in terms of how long we've all been around.
No. Yeah. So a few years ago, I did as much of mine as I could, and I also punched in the details for everyone. And actually what I did when I was young, and I was thrilled that I did this, and I don't know why I had such foresight. I mean,
it's not the sort of thing you normally do when you're young, is it?
No. I didn't do it when I was young. What I did when I was young was I sat down with both my grandparents and just chatted with them and wrote stuff down. Yeah. And I drew little maps. They say, no, I used to live on this particular road. And we've actually gone back and visited some of these places thanks to, me having these conversations. But that really helped shape the family tree thing. But I traced things back. And I mean, one of them was a railway worker, which is quite interesting. Quite common as well. Mr. Grinter.
Grinter, what a great name.
Walter Grinter.
That's a great name to research, isn't it? Because it's not common, I wouldn't have thought.
No. Well, he ended up going all over the south of England. All my relatives are all from sort of Wales and the south. But then all the others, without fail, were farm labourers. Now, if we go back a bit further, hopefully I'll find some royalty. But the point...
Can but hope.
Yes. The point I wanted to come to was, I think we all focus on, when we're looking at family trees, you sort of think, I'm going to go back in time and I'm going to find out what makes me me. And I think perhaps that we neglect the things that are right in front of our face, because I think... And this all came about because of a conversation that we've had recently. We're all sat around the dinner table and we were chatting, and I ended up talking about my granddad and also a bit about my mum. And through the course of those two conversations, it started to make me understand my character a little bit more. Because I suppose you would say that I'm not as much of a joker as I used to be, or maybe I am.
No, you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you wondered, because my brothers
aren't. It's a bit daft. No, they're not.
They're not at all. Neither of my brothers are. They'll have a bit of fun, absolutely, and if I start messing around, they'll join in.
No, they're nothing like Dan at all.
No.
Really not.
No, and you start to think, how... what is it that's made me me? Well, it was only through, first of all, telling the story about my grandpa. My grandpa, who I never really knew particularly well because
your mum's dad?
Yes. Yeah. I never knew my other grandpa.
No.
But my mum's dad, he was virtually blind by the time I knew him, and really quite old. He'd get out the mouth organ and play it sometimes, and he'd stamp his foot, and that was all really cool. But I didn't really know him that well. Well, a story that my mum told me a few years ago was he had this best friend called Charlie, and my grandpa decided that it would be really fun to dress up as like an old tramp lady, go round to Charlie's house, knock on his door and pretend to be this old tramp and ask for a few pennies. So round he goes, and Charlie and his wife, they're petrified because this huge old tramp lady appears at the door asking for money.
So this was your grandpa dressed up as a tramp lady?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So my grandpa's playing the part really well and really winding them up, and then at the perfect moment he decides to reveal himself. It shows that it's Len, and Charlie did not find it remotely funny. In fact, Charlie found it so not funny, he didn't talk to his best friend for a year.
I'm with him all the way. I can't abide practical jokes. I'm the same. I think you're either a practical joker or you're not.
Well,
and I'm absolutely not. I was just like, that's not funny. That's not funny at all.
It's the not talking to him for a year that I think makes that tale absolutely legendary.
Yeah.
And according to my mum, whenever my grandpa, even during the year when he wasn't talking to me, he was sad not to talk to his friend, but he'd like break out into fits of laughter. He couldn't even get to the end of the story because he found it so unbelievably funny. And I've got to say, I would never do that, but I do find it unbelievably funny. And then similarly, I then started to think about my mum, and I started to think about the crazy stuff she's done over the years.
Yeah. Your character is like your mum's to an extent. Yeah,
it is, and it seems evident now to me that a huge proportion of my character stems from clearly my grandpa through my mum and into me. Yeah. And the one thing that we can never learn...
And that's where your red hair comes from as well, isn't it?
Yeah. The one thing that we can never learn, because we're never going to know their characters, is when you look at your family tree, you can only guess. Well, you can't even guess the characters of the people.
No, not unless someone who knew them wrote down stories about them.
Yeah. So I think, for me, it's been such a wonderful sort of thing to realise, why I am the way I am. I mean, I spent an awful lot more time, because my brothers had left and gone off to... I spent a lot more one-to-one time for a lot more years with my mum and experienced a lot more of her crazy jokes.
She is bonkers like that, and she must get that from her dad.
She must do.
Conversely, you get it from her, so it's sort of watered down.
It has.
I'm very grateful for that fact to you, although you are a bit bonkers.
A lot less bonkers than I used to be, definitely, because there's certainly things I wouldn't do now that I have done in the past.
Yeah.
But look, that's enough waffle about family trees, because there's way too many wonderful things to look at. So I think it's time that I ask Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Well,
I'm very excited about this.
Oh yeah, I've got 2 new things this week. And the first of those new things is a new pair of socks for Dan. Now, I know I've got that pair of socks on the go that I showed you, I think last time, didn't I, with the Regia Merino yak. But that's a thicker yarn, and they are sort of going to be Christmas socks. And I wanted to start him another pair.
This one?
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to start him another pair because there's a pair of socks that Dan has worn literally until they're threadbare. And there's going to be a hole in very soon. And I actually only knit them a year ago. But you've worn them literally non-stop for a year, haven't you? And if you remember, you might not remember, but it's some socks that I cast on actually exactly a year ago, and it was in the Boba Fett colourway from Moustache Yarns. A little shorty pair of socks, and like I say, I've worn them. So I thought, right, okay.
And that's really when you cracked the whole... My goodness, when Kay puts the ribbing through the socks...
You liked them because they were ribbed.
And the reason why I like them is because I like things that fit well. Yeah. And these just... They're just sucking at all the right places.
You all know if you've knit a ribbed pair of socks, they're brilliant, aren't they? Because they're very accommodating. If you were knitting a pair of socks as a gift for someone, and you weren't quite sure what their foot size was like, I think knitting a ribbed sock is a brilliant idea because it will fit more people, I think, than a plain stocking stitch sock. So I thought, right, okay, I'll start him a new pair of socks and do them exactly the same. And I could do that because I detailed everything, and I'll show you how I did that in a second. So I went to my stash to find some yarn that was sort of exactly the same base as the last one. It's the sort of standard 75-25 that most dyers use, and I knew I had a lot of skeins of it.
Excellent. Oh, sorry.
So I showed Dan this colourway, and he said, yeah, that's great, use that one. And I've actually had this in my stash for a while. It was a gift from someone. And I tend to, if somebody gives me yarn, I tend to hoard it. And actually, the other thing that I want to show you, one of the other things, is also a skein of yarn that was gifted. So I think I must be in this zone at the minute where I've just thought, you know what, it's time to knit that yarn.
Life's too short.
Yes, and it just felt time to knit this yarn. It's London House Yarns.
Exciting.
And I love her yarns. I've got several skeins in my stash. Fantastic yarn. And like I said, it's the 75-25 base. And it was a sock set, so you get a mini skein as well. And the colourway is Papillon. Now, I don't know what that reference is in terms of, why she's dyed it the way she has.
Well, it's a French word.
But it's a French word for butterfly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you know.
As I know. Because of the
Cinderella.
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo socks.
Yes.
Yeah, the stitch pattern in it, I called a papillon because that features in the film and it's a butterfly and everything. So that's why I know that that's a butterfly. But the colours in this sock don't scream out to me butterfly, but
this
I could
is
be wrong.
looking good.
So this is the yarn in the skein.
You've made so much progress.
Not really. I only cast it on yesterday, to be fair.
Yes. Now I shall shame my husband. Who tries his
Yesterday, I
hardest.
cast it on last night, in fact. I cast it on last night.
Tries his hardest. He toils every day.
So this is the yarn. It's lovely colours. You've got a coral, 2 shades of blue, a grey, and then the natural colour. And then a mini of the sort of darker of the blues.
And look at the wonderment of that yarn cake.
Oh, I know, it's nice, isn't it?
You've nailed skeining yarn.
I've nailed the skeining of the yarn.
Yes, you're doing a good job.
No, I'd say skeining of the yarn, caking.
Caking of the yarn.
Yeah.
It is, though, clearly the Knit Pro Swift.
It's up there. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh no, my hand's pointing. Oh no, wrong way.
Oh,
I can't do it. It's there. It's the Knit Pro ball winder, the wooden one.
And your review of that's just come out this week.
Oh right, but it does wind a lovely looking cake.
It's just gorgeous.
It just all that crisscrossy business.
It's amazing.
So pretty, isn't it? So yeah, I cast this on last night, and this is where I'm up to. I'm doing it very slightly different, and I'll tell you how. It's really pretty, isn't it? So this will be a shorty sock again. So I've got 15 rounds of 1x1. I'm hugely into 1x1 rib at the moment. I don't know why. I don't know where it's come from. I just love the look of it, and it's so lovely. And then on the other pair that I made him, I did a 3x1 rib. I'm still doing a 3x1 rib, but it's a broken rib. So I've just got 1 round of 3x1 and then 1 round plain knit. So you're still getting the ribbiness, but it means that the knitting of it is a bit quicker because you've got that plain round in between.
I'm so impressed, to be honest, because when you said that you were going to do that, I thought they're just not going to come out the
Thanks
same.
very much for
it's evident.
Trusting me with that.
It's evident that they are, because it looks nearly the same.
You know, it's obviously not as sucky in, but it's almost, and it'll definitely be sucky in enough for you. So I think it's really nice. It's really pretty yarn, isn't it? So I'll do the heel. I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset on this because that's what I did on the other.
What I like about this yarn is it doesn't feel like in your face. No. But it looks quite bold. Yeah. I mean, it's really clever dye job.
Yeah, masculine and feminine, I think, either.
Which just about sums me up, I think.
So the blue matches the sort of darker of the blues there. So I'll use this for the heel flap and turn, and then I'll just knit the rest in the striping. I don't mind that the toe, you know, when you do a toe and you carry on with self-striping yarn, you get the last 2 stripes are a bit thicker, aren't they? I don't mind that. I think that's fine. And I'd actually, when I went to look for some needles, because I knit these on 2.25 as well, quite often I do dance socks on 2.5mm, but for this pair, the Boba Fett pair, I used 2.25 as well, just to give that extra bit of negative ease, if you like. I went to my needles and I didn't have another set of the Chow Goose that I always use, the mini twists, because I've got several things on the go at the minute and I'd just run out. So I'm using Higher. And I've got several pairs of these, and I did used to use Highs a lot. They're not my favourites for knitting socks, but actually they're a lot nicer than I remembered them in my head. Isn't that funny? I just always remembered that I really didn't like them. I'm really liking working with them. So I think that just goes to show, doesn't it, that it's always worth revisiting something, even if you, in your head, you think, oh, I didn't like that. Things change, don't they?
You change.
And you change as a knitter and as a person. Yeah. And actually, I'm really enjoying it, and it's a nice change. Even just changing the needles on something that you've knit a lot, you know, like socks, you know, I always use the same needles. Just change the needles and the whole thing feels fresher, and you just want to knit on it more. So yeah, I just cast these on last night, and that's where I'm up to. So I'm just doing about 30 rounds for the cuff, and then for the leg, and then I'll just obviously carry on and follow how I did it before. And the reason I can do it exactly is my little sock that's upside down. Not that it makes a difference. My little sock book. And I started using this probably about a year ago.
This is such a great idea.
Because I think this was the first pair of socks that I put into here. And I cast them on early August 2019, and it's now early August 2020. So, I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? And I didn't know that until I looked at this book this morning when I found it. So what I do with this is the one for the Boba Fett socks, as you can see. So in this little pocket here, I've shown this before, but it's a while ago, I made a little sock template. Look. Can you see him laughing in the background? He's laughing, but this means that I can knit these socks exactly how he wants them.
Yes.
So I've got a little sock template, look, and I made a little pocket, and it sits in there. And then I draw around the template each time and just colour it in relevant to the sock with the colours. And then just note everything that I've done. So this was the first pair. And then I do sometimes put design socks in here, but not always.
This is
usually just socks that I've knit that, other than designs.
For you, if you don't knit a lot of socks, it could be whatever you knit a lot of, couldn't it?
Oh yeah, I've seen people do sort of knitting journals like this before. But, because socks are the things that I love the most and I knit the most of, it made sense. And it's very fun, drawing around the little templates. Yeah. Look, that was Clementine. That was Clementine. And then this one I actually used watercolours for. I did a pair of socks for Dan which were in all autumnal colours, scrappy socks. So I used some watercolours, to go all blendy.
Crumbs, those are the ones that have gone through, aren't they?
They've gone through, they've got holes in, yeah. And when did I make these? You see, I didn't put a date on. That's annoying. I'm annoyed with myself.
But it's after.
It's obviously after that, but where it's gone through, I remembered the yarn, and it's actually just purely a BFL.
Right. So that's why it's gone.
There's no nylon in it.
Yeah.
So that's a lesson to learn. To myself, I was like, right, okay, don't use that in areas that's going to get high wear. I would definitely use it on the cuff and the leg, not a problem, but I wouldn't use it on from the leg, the heel down. I wouldn't use it. Because I think it does need a bit of nylon in. I've got my Afterthought Everything socks, which I'm going to talk about as well in a bit. And then I just popped this one in this morning. So look, I went into Bryony's, and I was in trouble. I said to her, have you got pencils to match these colours? And she went, yeah. As if that was the most ridiculous question. And I bought her, last Christmas I think it might have been, it's this set of pencils and it's gorgeous. It's 2-layered. She loves boxes of things where there's 2 layers. She thinks that's amazing. And it's just got all the pencil colours in. So I went in there and look, I think that's pretty close, isn't it? And look at that. And that was just so fun, I just spent 10 minutes this morning doing that. And I know some people might think, I won't bother doing that. I'd rather be doing something else. But actually, I love looking through it and just remembering what socks I've knit. And it's really...
It turns it into more of an occasion too, I think.
Yeah, and I know that we can all log these things digitally and online and things, but I don't like having to pick up a device or something like that to find out what I've previously done. I'd much rather go and open a book. And I think if you physically write it, with a pen or a pencil,
it creates a connection.
It goes in your brain more.
Yeah.
Certainly mine, it goes in my brain much more than if I'm just typing it on a computer. So I really love doing this, and there are a few that I haven't put in. I think I am going to start putting every sock in here that I knit, because it's just such a lovely record. And this book's brilliant. It's from Paper Chase, and it's not got a spine here. So because there's no spine, it opens completely flat. Can you see? And Bryony loved this so much, I got one for her, and she's used it as a journal all through the summer. I got it at the beginning of, when she stopped going to physical school, and she's used it every day, and every day she does a page of something to do with that day. And I love that it's dotted, because I can also quickly do a chart in here really easily.
That's cool.
So these are great books. So that's how I could make this exactly the same. And I know I'm doing a broken rib, but I think it'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I think
so too.
Yeah. Dan Jones almost forgot to say it, because I just want to sit and knit on that sock. What's on your needles?
It's another sock.
Oh my goodness.
I just cast this on yesterday.
Oh, get on. Can you
Speed
hear
up.
him? Can you hear him?
She's so slow. It's the Sherwood socks. These are, of course, the socks which Kay has designed just for me. And I have knit all the way through the leg, and I'm now onto. I've done the heel flap turn and done the decreases, and I'm now onto the foot. Are you on about the pickup?
The pickup's brilliant.
Yeah, show them the pickup.
Is it good on the other side?
I think it is.
Pretty good. I can sort that loose stitch. Look. How lovely are they? Look at the pickup here. Is that not excellent? Love it.
Now,
take it off so I can show you the front.
Yeah, I do have a slight confession to make.
Oh, why? What have you've done something wrong?
No, I fixed it.
All right.
I fix it. Yeah. Basically, I did my old forget to do the heel turn trick.
Oh, no.
And I got so far through it, I'd picked up all along one side.
Right.
I'd knitted all the way across the top stitches.
Right.
And then I'm looking at the stitches on this needle and I'm thinking...
something's not right.
Something's seriously wrong, because the stitches were like bulging off the needle either side. And then it dawned on me, I've not done the heel turn.
You didn't even tell me.
No.
Were you too scared to tell me?
No, I just got on with it and fixed it. Because I am a self-contained knitter.
Oh, shut up. Yeah, right. I should have just given you your cardigan to finish then, shouldn't I, if you're a self-contained
But that is exactly what next series of my garment knitting show is all about. My journey to becoming a self-contained garment knitter. It's happened in the socks. I can now fix my own mistakes, which is wonderful. It's been just a joy to knit. It's literally my perfect sock. And it's my perfect sock because it's got in all the things which I love. And of course it's got in all the things which I love because Kay said, what are your favourite things? And she just put them all in.
And it's a new experience seeing this because I haven't knit the pair of socks.
No.
So it's really lovely for me to see.
Yeah.
So you're actually my sample knitter for this. Never had a sample knitter.
I mean, honestly... I can't even begin to tell you how much I've enjoyed knitting this. It's been phenomenal. Now, we've had an awful lot of messages asking about these socks, and there is no plans to release these to buy.
No.
Because she designed them for me.
Yeah.
But given the excitement around the socks, there might be some plans brewing to release these as part of your Platinum collection.
Yes.
So watch this space in the Platinum collection 2021.
Dan needs to finish the pair.
Well,
first,
I've got enough time.
I don't have to
because
knit
it's the
another
Platinum
pair.
Collection 2021.
Yes.
But those are my Sherwood socks in the wonderful Regia Merino yak yarn. And yes, next time you see these, I'll have finished this and I'll have cast on the second sock.
Excellent.
The speed of my sock knitting has gone from pedestrian to medium pedestrian.
I was going to say, to what?
It's a lot quicker than it was.
Yeah.
The point is, though, I enjoy every bit of it now, and I didn't before. Before it was a chore, I was forcing myself. Now it's something that I look forward to. What else is on your needles?
Well, because I've finished a few large items recently, I knew it was time to get back to Dan's tank top.
Yes.
So I've been working on this the past few days. So I will show you again where I'm up to in this lovely bag from Emma. I've shown this before, but it's one of my favourites. Emma at Eldenwood Crafts. Isn't it fantastic? And it's one of my favourites. Gorgeous, love it. So this is Dan's tank top. I'd finished the back a little bit ago, if you remember. Here's the back piece. All gorgeous and finished. It's just got a line down because I've had it folded in the bag. I think what I'll probably do actually... will I block it before I finish it? I don't know. I don't think I did with the last one. I think I seamed it together and finished it all off and then blocked it. So that's probably what I will do this time. So yeah, this is the back piece and I'm on with the front piece. Now the front piece, you knit it exactly the same. I believe it's until you've finished it. It's either these decreases or these decreases. I can't remember which. I'll need to check the pattern. But it's somewhere around here. You knit it exactly the same to that point. And then you split. You split here. So you work on this side and then you go back and work on this side because it's V-necked. So there's slightly, there's probably quite a lot of less knitting actually, because you've not got this whole section is missing here. So I'm hoping it'll be quicker. I seem to think it will be, because I think I'll be more enthused as well when I get to that point and I'm working on these 2 front pieces, because I'll be almost finished then. But at the moment I've just got to get to the same point. So I picked it back up a few days ago, and I think the last time I showed you I'd just finished the ribbing basically, and I have now done 3 full repeats. This is where I'm at. It's really lovely. It's very pleasant to knit. I do...
Well, that's a nice thing to hear.
Yeah, I mean, when I picked it back up again, I couldn't really... I didn't have that memory of the pattern repeat because it had been a little while. But once I'd worked through a full repeat, which is 8 rows, it was kind of in my brain again. So it makes the knitting of it much quicker because you don't have to think as much. I just kind of glance at the row I'm on and think, yeah, I know what I'm doing, and away I go. That's probably the same for everyone, isn't it, I would guess. I did make a note and I knit 13 and a half repeats to that point where I start doing the decreases. So I know I've got to get to 13 and a half repeats. I've done 3. But, it doesn't seem as daunting because I know a repeat, it takes me a little while. It's a good hour, if not a bit more, because each row is very involved. It's there's no plain rows, and I know it's only 8 rows, and that seems an awfully long time, doesn't it, when I say it like that? But I have timed myself, and I know it's a good hour. But I've got to have this finished for Dan's birthday, which is the beginning of October. So really, I need to have it done by the end of September to give me enough time to wash it and let it dry and wrap it up and all that business. So end of September is my goal, and we're now into the beginning of August. So I've got a good amount of time, haven't I? So this will be this is now my big project that I'm working on that I've got to get done, that's got a deadline. So I will keep you posted, let you know how I get on, and I will get it done. However I need to do that, it will be done. So this is the pattern I've showed you many times now before, from Peyton's. His and hers Aran vest with neck options. You can see I'm doing the size large, which is, it comes out a 40 to 42. Dan's chest is a 44, but it does say in the instructions somewhere that it's designed to be a loose fit. It's really, and you can see that on him actually, can't you? You can see it looks quite loose, and Dan doesn't want that.
I don't like loose fitting things.
No, and I figure if this comes out 42, for example, because I'm about gauge, I've checked my gauge and it's there or thereabouts. So if it comes out 42 and Dan's a 44, then that'll give a little bit of negative ease, and that's what you like, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've measured it against the green one that I knit in before, and it's roughly the same size. So I'm hoping all will be well.
I have 2 lovely sleeves to show you.
Oh.
And they're knitted in King Cole Merino Blend DK Superwash in truffle.
Good grief.
Here are my 2 sleeves. Last time you saw this, I was only part way up this second sleeve, and now it's completely finished. I was probably about here, I think, and now it's finished all the way. And
2 sleeves.
I've done a much better job than I did on the first one. It's my other dilemma with garment knitting, and it's something I want to try and address next year. I'll have a think as to. I like to sort of think things through, plan them. If you think with the Claire Quat, I knit lots and lots of the pattern by knitting the hat, and that was brilliant of Tin Can Knits to have a hat, that had the same pattern on as the cardigan. Here, the challenge that I found, and I was so stupid, the challenge that I found on the first one was I just got a bit confused when I got to this. It's my favourite bit on the pattern. I mean, it's all great. I love it all. But, I made a few mistakes, and that frustrated me. Whereas on this one, I don't think I've made one mistake.
It's better.
And it's because you've done it once. I had similar problems with socks. I would make mistakes. I would make the same mistakes, and it would only be through repetition of the process that you then got it right, as I've shown here. I'm apologising to you, and the reason why I'm apologising to you...
sleeve.
Take it off then.
No, I'm just saying it's nice and warm. The wool's nice and warm.
The reason why I mean, I've been knitting on this. There's been no pausing in the knitting process. But obviously the fact that you saw the clay quad finished last time shows you that my focus, my additional sort of time that I find for knitting has been focused very much towards getting that project over the finish line.
But it's very intense knitting, you know, it's 2x2 effectively, isn't it? Because it's a 2x2 offset rib, isn't it? I don't know what it's called. Is it called box stitch? I don't know.
I haven't found any of this.
Remember.
Now, the one, we did sit down probably 2 or 3 days ago to look at the next stage of the pattern. And again, what you find is, if you recall from, you know, go back through the mists of time to about 30 episodes ago, when I initially cast this on, and initially I found it an extremely challenging knit because the way the pattern's been written doesn't go in very easily.
No.
You know, you have to really sort of apply yourself. Now, that's fine. And we had a quick look, and it was just a bit of a brain freezer.
I read through the instructions, and I admit I didn't really know what she wanted us to do.
What I said I'm going to do, and I am going to do this, is as soon as I had some time, and that is going to be in the next few days, I'm going to sit down and look at it and see, because I've read the pattern, I've been working with the pattern, hopefully I can sort of separate a certain amount of the...
Well, yeah, I hope you can. I mean, I have... You know, you've got to obviously join the body now, the sleeves to the body, and then you work this area. It's actually got, I think it's raglan decreases. It's not
yes,
like
it is
a
raglan
yoke.
decreases. I've done raglan decreases before, thankfully.
Yeah, but the way I have joined a couple of garments, two or three, I think I've joined in the round. You know, and it's not a process I enjoy.
Well, you won't be doing it this time. You'll be instructing me, if you recall.
Well, I don't. The problem I've got is I don't understand what she wants us to do.
Well, that's why then perhaps I need to understand as best I can. Tell you what I think it is,
and then I'll look at it and see if I think you've got to have all the pieces in front of you, and it might make more sense with all the pieces in front of you. You know, quite often if you read something, it's sort of like what, but then when you physically come to do it, you know, if you just follow what she's saying, then hopefully we'll be able to figure it out. But it isn't an easy thing to understand. Being completely honest.
The challenge is quite simple. It's understanding what she's asking you to do.
Absolutely, that is. And this is the Cascades by Michelle Wong. I don't know if we said that. But it's a gorgeous pattern. It's brilliantly, you know, it's a gorgeous pattern. But I think it is for a more experienced knitter. I think that's...
I'd argue that an experienced knitter would still find this difficult to understand.
Very possibly.
Because you don't enjoy knitting garments, but you are an experienced garment knitter. If you go back and look at the things that you've knitted over the years.
Yeah, I think what I don't enjoy, Dan's vest that I'm knitting, as I said before, it's very pleasant. I prefer knitting garments in a more traditional way, let's say, where it's in pieces and you sew them together and then you finish everything off. I find that much simpler. I don't like having the massive bulk on your needles when, for example, when you join this in the round, you've got the whole garment on your needles. It's just not me, but everybody's different, aren't they? And that's why it's brilliant. There's so many different options for us. Yeah. So, but no, I'm not a garment knitter, but if I wanted to knit a garment,
you've read a lot of patterns over the years.
I could knit a garment. It's not that I don't have.
You've read a lot of patterns over the years, you know, from old-fashioned written patterns to, you know, really complex, more, you know, when I think about The Old Man and the Sea and, you know, all the things that you've done, and you read that and you're like, what?
Yeah, I did.
So I don't think even an experienced garment knitter would read that and go, oh, yes, I completely understand.
I think you'd have to sit down with a cup of tea and, you know, with the pieces out in front of you and just have a real good think about it. Yeah. Which is what we need to do.
No, it's true. And I think this gets to the nub of the issue, and that is, I really don't think it's got anything to do with the complexity of what's going on here. I think it comes down to how the pattern has been written. You know, has someone written it in a way which is easy to understand, or have they not done that? And in this case, they haven't done that. And that's been the case all the way through the knitting of it. But we will find a way through. Yes. And what will be, will be.
We will find a way. No, this is the way.
I have spoken.
Yes, I have spoken.
What else is on your needles?
Let's be Mandalorian. Right. The last thing I've got to show you is another pair of socks. in another yarn that was a lovely gift. And I've actually hoarded this one, I think, even longer than that other skein, because it was just so special to me. But I'm so glad I cast it on. I'm so glad. But I've got it in this lovely bag, and I think the last time I showed this, I said I bought it last Christmas. I didn't. It was the Christmas before. So it'll be 2 years this coming Christmas. I mean, time just goes, doesn't it? And you don't realise. But it's from Alex Collins. And
she's in our next
bag.
Knitability.
Oh, yay.
I was just emailing her yesterday.
Oh, brilliant. I love this bag. It's so beautifully made, and I love the fabric. Can you see the little cottage in the woods? Anything that's houses and woods, I just really love. So it's a great bag. And in the bag, I'm knitting another Afterthought Everything sock. Now, I showed you the finished one last time, and I did say I'd cast on another, because what I'm going to do with this is, when I've knit the tube, I'm going to record a tutorial on how I separated the tubes, basically, into the two pieces. So you will end up, and you'll have, you know, them on 2 separate needles. You'll be ready to knit the toes on both of them, and then you can just go in and cut for the heels like normal. This is where I'm up to, and I'm pretty close actually to the top cuff. I must be shedding hair at an alarming rate. It's everywhere. So look. Oh, isn't it fun?
Yes.
I just love it. It's really pretty colours. So I've got a cast on down here, and then I've got the leg marked for the heel. I've then got the foot marked for the toe, marked for the other toe, and then you've got the foot of the second sock, and I'm now working the leg of the second sock, and I'm about halfway up the leg of the second sock. And then I'll do another cuff, bind off, and then I can split them. So the yarn, oh, it's so pretty, isn't it? It's from Candy Skein, and it was her Yummy series, and this is the April 2016 colourway. Can you believe that? And it's called Raspberry Orange Sorbet. And I didn't realise until I wound the skein, but there's a tiny little, look, there's a sweetie marker. How cute is that? I didn't even know that was there until I wound it. It's really sweet. And this is what it looks like in the lovely cake again. Look at that lovely cake. Isn't it pretty? So it's a mixture of these sort of raspberry pinks and oranges, and it's quite sort of maybe a touch Halloweeny if you think about it. But I just love it. And like I say, I've hoarded this for, gosh, I don't know how long. A really special friend sent me this from America, and it must be, I don't know, it might be 3 years. I just didn't want to use it because it just felt too special. You've got to use your yarn, people. You know, my friend, one of my friends who's got some of my yarn says, oh, you know, I don't want to use it because it's so special. I'm like shouting at her, just use the yarn, you know. And the joy that I've had in knitting this, knowing who it came from and just how lovely and special the yarn is, it's really worth cracking into those skeins that are really special, because this will be a special pair of socks, and I'm definitely having these socks because I do give a lot of my socks to Bryony, but these ones will be for me. And I found a yarn that I think is going to look lovely for the heels and toes, and I think it picks out some of the lighter pink tones. Can you see the sort of lighter sections in it? And I think this colour will pick it out lovely. Oh, it's so pretty. And this is Cascade Heritage in a colour called Chanterelle. I don't know why it's called Chanterelle, because that's mushrooms, isn't it? And a Chanterelle mushroom is not this colour, I don't think. Or am I wrong? Is a Chanterelle mushroom this sort of peachy pinky colour? I thought it was more mushroomy colour, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like the underside might be that colour, I'm not sure. But I think it'll be perfect in any case for the heels and toes. So I'm looking forward to getting to that. But in the meantime, I've just so enjoyed just having this long sock sausage thing. Just to knit, and then occasionally you mark your rounds with some little markers. Knit a load more, and it's just lovely. And I really enjoyed the process doing the first one of these, the Afterthought Everything. And I think I might always now have one of these on the go, but because I just think it's such brilliant knitting for me, for bedtime knitting. It's perfect. I don't have to think when I'm tired, and I can still knit, and I get, you know, maybe 10 or 15 rounds done every night. So you see progress really quickly. and it's just so enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to doing that tutorial. It'll probably be, into the autumn before that comes out, and then I'll have a lovely finished pair of socks. But it's just been so fun to work on. I've just loved it.
It's lovely yarn.
Yeah, it's just so nice, and I think for me, knitting for me, the most joy I get is when there's an association with either, the pattern or the yarn or whatever it is. I just get much more enjoyment out of it when I've got something else going on. Like, if I'm knitting that vest for Dan, for example, I know he's going to love it. And I just keep thinking that. And I keep thinking, oh, he's going to wear this a lot because you wear your green one a lot and you love it. And that's what's keeping me motivated. So it's the same kind of thing with this. I just think, gosh, that's so lovely, and I'll have a good chunk left over so I can put it into scrap projects, and then there'll be some of it in each little scrap project, and it's all those sort of memories that you're building into something. And I just love all that. It's very, does that make me sentimental? I'm not sure. Probably does.
Human, probably.
Yeah, I think it is human, isn't it? It's a great amount of comfort. It gives me a great amount of comfort to think that this person chose this yarn and sent it to me and thought I'd like it. And, it's all that, and I think that's lovely. So it's 2.25mm, and these are the Chowgoo mini twists that I'm knitting this one on. So I'm loving it. So the next time I show you this, probably will be a completed pair, I would have thought, or at least one completed.
The first time Kate showed, the first time I saw that sock and saw all the markers on it, I did not have a clue what was going on. Not a clue.
Well, I suppose it might look a bit daunting, but when you think about it, it's not really, because you're putting your heel in here.
I also couldn't work out how you did a rib either end.
You just knit it.
Yeah, I know, but I couldn't work out how a sock appeared from it.
Yeah, and when I showed it to Bryony, she went, "What are you knitting?"
It's a leg warmer.
I said, "It's a pair of socks."
With tassels.
Went, "That's a really long sock." Can you imagine if that was the leg of a sock?
Some people might like this.
It'd be over your knees. Well, you'd have to do increases, wouldn't you? It wouldn't go on.
No.
But anyway, it's really fun and I'm really enjoying it.
Folks, this is most definitely the year of walking the Dales. I've got to tell you, I've never needed more to get out into the countryside. There's nothing quite like actually, getting on the side of a moor with no one for miles, just the birds flying around overhead. When I think back to the sort of dark chemotherapy times, and actually it was very close to here that I was aspiring to go to, where we're going today. I never did this, but I used to fantasize about being allowed to get in a car, drive to this spot, go and stand in the middle of this moorland and just screaming.
Oh, yeah.
And I can still feel that desire. Maybe one day I'll do it. Can you imagine me, some poor person walking along quite happily, probably a mile or two away, and suddenly they'll hear
sound like somebody's been murdered.
This absolute blood-curdling cry. They'll be like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on?" This is the wildest walk I've gone on in a long time. And, some of the sights that I saw along the way were just beautiful. So, with just you and me and Kevin in tow, let's go walking the Dales. walking the Dales. For the last 15 years, this gorgeous landscape has been the canvas that my family's life has been painted on. And whilst so many of our adventures start in the car, our favourite way to explore this gorgeous part of the world is on foot. There is nothing quite like walking the Yorkshire Dales. From its rolling hills to its beautiful forests and picturesque villages. In this series, you're going to join us on 7 wonderful walks. Some we know well, but others are brand new to us. Along the way, we'll take in some breathtaking views, and using my famous map reading skills, we might just learn a thing or two. But where are we going today? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special place. About 6 years ago, I was researching a series that we filmed all about all creatures great and small, which was shot all over these Yorkshire Dales. As I pored over my Ordnance Survey map, I noticed this spot. And when I say this spot, I literally mean this spot. And at the time, I obviously had no idea what this place would look like. I just saw the elevated view and I thought, I bet the Dale would look pretty from up there. So we came, and oh my goodness, we were in for a treat. Now there's many places in the world that I love. Rome, Jervo Abbey in Wensleydale, any shop that sells Lego. But without doubt, this is my favourite place to be in the world. That bench really does have a magnetic pull, whatever the weather. But get up, I have, because what a walk we have in store, if my map is to be believed, because we've never walked this route before. We've been here before, we've sat on that bench, we've tried a little walk here, but the walk I take you on today is completely new to me in this gorgeous dale. Now, where are we? We're back in Arkengarthdale, which was of course the site of our first walk, but we were only on the fringes of the dale, and this place is too stunning for us not to have a proper explore of it. Along the route today, there's grouse butts, sheep folds, mines, and possibly one of the prettiest villages I've ever been to before. So I'm very excited, as I'm sure you can imagine, to get out on the trails today. Let's start walking the dales.
Welcome everyone to Seal Houses Moor, and yes, the hat is on. I don't know if I'm going to need it today, but there's bits of rain, the sun keeps peeking through, so I thought, let's go all Indiana Jones. Now we're climbing up really high in the first part of today's walk. We're getting right up to the top of Arkengarthdale. So the views should be absolutely spectacular, and also I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing some really interesting moorland birds, and the flowers should be really different to a lot of the ones that we've seen so far on Walking the Dales. Now, we have actually tried to walk up here once before, and it was an absolute disaster. It was not long after we'd found this place, and we came up and we set off on a different walk to here. Actually, it was further down that way. It was a shorter walk, and it just was too boggy. So we had to turn back. You know, we were literally up to our ankles in sort of boggy, wet, horrible stuff, and there's lots of bugs, and we just weren't prepared. So this is the first proper attempt, and I've got to say, it's really hard underfoot. This is really wild country. This landscape is officially bonkers. Now, one of the things I'm particularly excited about seeing today is something I've only seen whizzing past when I've been driving through the Yorkshire Dales in the countryside, and that is a sheepfold. These historic landmarks are all over the Yorkshire Dales, and they're always marked on maps, and I have a feeling I found my first one. It's certainly not boggy today, but my goodness, up here it's quite windy. What's quite cool though is every so often, just have a look at this. That's like a paved road. Well, I mean, it's not a road, but I bet you that that was the tracks that the shepherds used to use coming to and from their sheepfolds. Amazing stuff. That was about the most precipitous fence crossing I've ever undertaken. That log that I was stood on the plank, I'm telling you, at any moment it was going to break. This is without doubt the most wild walk I've done since the last time I was in Scotland. It's crazy stuff. The thing that I love the most about sheepfolds is, in researching this show, I found out that the design just hasn't changed in generations. I found pictures of ones in Israel from like 2,000 years ago that look exactly the same as they do now. It's crazy, isn't it? Now, I don't know about you, but I love Downton Abbey. And speaking of Scotland, do you remember the one where, is it the Highland Holiday or something or other? And they all go off and they go hunting deer, and I think they go on a shoot, they go shooting grouse, don't they? Well, I think, looking at the map, there is some grouse butts just over there. It's certainly getting tested for the wind, folks. There's not supposed to be any wind today. It's crazy. We're actually coming up on a farmhouse. Hope you can hear me okay. The wind is just insane actually at the moment. Thank goodness I have my rather marvellous hat. Now, this farmhouse is all that remains of what used to be a whole host of buildings that would have been up here. Because this was the site of one of the biggest mines in all of Arkangarthdale. This is proper Little House on the Prairie stuff. Well, there is the Little House on the Prairie. Wow, the flowers in this field are just amazing. There's blues and yellows and smells just unbelievable. It's like a feast on the senses. And grasses as well that remind me totally of my childhood. It's wonderful stuff. This is Peatmore rig, and that's a word you'll see an awful lot in the Yorkshire Dales, rig, but it's one that's more commonly used and seen actually in Scotland. Now, how did it get its name? Probably because once this field was farmed using the ridge and furrow method. Now we're coming off the moor now, thank goodness. It's going to be a bit easier underfoot, I'm hoping. We'll pick up some roads to walk on. And we're actually going to look for Arkle Beck. We actually mentioned that in episode 1 because that's the waterway that gives Arkengarthdale its name. So, whilst I use my famous map reading skills to try and find out where that beck is, why don't you go off for a little break and I'll see you later on in the show for more Walking the Dales.
My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, what a walk. I've got to say that was tough going at times. I mean, there was a moment very early on in the shoot where I honestly thought, can I even do this?
Gosh.
I'd just put my foot sort of just halfway between knee and ankle deep into a puddle of water. So I was one foot just completely drenched through, and I just thought, this is going to be
Interesting.
This whole journey as to how we came to start making Walk in the Dales, it's just like fate, because I honestly feel, I don't know, it feels the rightest that I've ever felt filming anything, and I don't know whether it's because of what's been going on this year, and you know the need to just for us all to just sort of take a bit of a breath. And the one thing you can do when you're out in places like that wild wilderness,
it's just breathe.
It is, because you can't hear much apart. Well, you really can't. And the curlews, I mean, just
the sounds of the birds are just amazing, aren't they? And again, I would recommend putting your earbuds in. I would always recommend putting your earbuds in, because I think you do hear a lot more. You feel much more like you're there,
connected.
Yeah.
Get ready for an oyster catcher as well. Oh no, you've already heard it. It was as I came round the farm and I was crossing the gate and then through the field of sheep. That was an oyster catcher you could hear, and I was sort of desperately sort of looking up, and it was my mum who helped me identify it, which was great. And folks, if you're enjoying that and you want to help us keep making wonderful shows like Walking the Dales, and also thank you so much for people just went nuts for the last My Favourite Colourways.
Oh, brilliant.
Which is just wonderful. So thank you all so much for your wonderful feedback around that. There's more of that to come, absolutely. Yeah. But folks, for us to keep making shows like Walking the Dales, My Favourite Colourways, The Pudding Club, New Adventures, everything that we do, we need you. Oh yes. So if you would like to help us keep making shows, do head over to our Patreon page, become a Bakery Bear patron, and for less than a cup of coffee a month, you can help keep us keep doing what we're doing. Yes. And on that happy note, I think we should find out, Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
I do have a couple of things.
Some amazing things.
I'll show this first, actually, because you've seen this before, but it's completely finished now.
With the lovely buttons.
Yes, so it's the completed, finished Claire Quat with buttons. So I'll fold it over so you can see the buttons. It's quite warm today, so I'm not going to put it on today because it is warm. So look, I'll show you these up close in a second. I'll get one out of the bag. But I think, they just look perfect. They're the perfect finishing touch, I think.
I was very excited.
Just little wooden buttons. And I love it. It sort of completes that kind of slightly rustic look, doesn't it? Gorgeous. And I found these just by doing a Google search I think. I can't even remember what I searched, but I'll tell you the shop. And now from rocketboygifts.com. Now there is a website called that exactly that you can purchase from, but they also have an Etsy shop as well, which is where I found them. And these are handmade, and I got 25 buttons and it cost me £16. There's various things you can choose to put on the button, but this is what's on mine. So let's hope this focuses. It's so sweet, and that little heart shape is like a ball of yarn. So it says, handmade with love by Dan. And they smell lovely and woody. It smells like a fire. Like smoked wood. Smoked wood, yeah. Doesn't it? And I think it must be where they've done the edges there. Can you see how it's like a darker colour? So they must have used something, but they smell so woody. It's really nice. So I think that's actually a really good price.
Yeah.
So it's less than, well less than £1 a button, isn't it? It's probably around... That's terrible English. What should I have said?
Much less. It's well less.
Sounded a bit... Was that a bit Yorkshire? It's well...
Possibly.
It's well good, that. Yeah, it is Yorkshire, isn't it? But yeah, they're brilliant. And I think these were 3/4 of an inch. And they did them in different sizes. But this is perfect size. I measured the sort of button band and just got some other buttons out and saw what size would be the perfect size. And they're brilliant. And I love the little holes, the 4 together like that. It means you can do a nice crisscross when you sew them in. And to sew them on, I just separated the strands from the yarn that Dan knit the garment in. I just used a couple of the plies. It was 4-plied yarn, so I'd use 2 of the plies to sew the button on. And I know that might wear in time because it's not the most strong thing, is it? But I think it'll last a number of years with that, because
just do it again.
Yeah, and if I see a button that I think is sort of getting a bit worn, I'll just re-sew them back on. I've got some of the yarn, not a problem.
Easy.
Yeah, so we've got plenty of those buttons for future projects, because they'll go with anything as well. That's the thing. I think a wooden button goes on anything.
Yeah.
Especially that sort of pale colour. So These are brilliant. Didn't take very long to come. Great service. Would really recommend it. The second thing I've finished, I need a little prop for. And I've got one of Bryony's bears here. It's not the sock. That's a random sock that I made when I was working out the pattern for the socks for Mr. Fitzwilliam Fox that I designed. He's got socks on because a fox wears socks. And when I was working out the sock design, I used some opal. It's one of the Christmas yarns.
That's lovely.
But this one wasn't quite right. But I just gave it to Bryony. I said, oh, do something with that if you want. And so he's just got one random sock. I think it gives him character. But what he's also got is a backpack. Can you see his little backpack? Oh, my goodness.
It's amazing.
Oh, my goodness. How cute is that? It's so cute. I can't stand it. I'll take it off and show you in a sec. But this pattern I saw pop up on, I don't know if I saw it on Instagram or on Ravelry, but it's from Little Cotton Rabbits from Julie, and it's like an additional pattern that she puts out quite often as an accessory for her toys that you can knit. And I think this pattern was called Bags and Baskets, or Baskets and Bags, something like that. If you go on her page, you'll see it. And I thought, I really want to knit one of those for Goffy. Now, I made this, but unfortunately it's too small for Goffy. So I gave it to Bryony anyway, and she decided that Teddy Lupin, did I say that, who this was?
No.
This is Teddy Lupin. Oh, look at him. He's so well loved. Don't you love it when teddies get that look on their fur like this, where it's really well loved? She named him Teddy Lupin because she was going through a mad Harry Potter phase at the time, I think, and she loves Lupin. That's her favourite character. And obviously, doesn't one of the children get called Teddy Lupin?
Yeah.
That's it. So he's Teddy Lupin. So I'll take the...
Teddy Lupin came to visit Clementine in
that's right.
the Swish and Flick Collective.
Yeah, is that where I know it from?
On the Moondust pattern, that's the story.
Yeah, that's where I know it
Teddy
from.
Lupin.
Yes,
He's a rather handsome chap.
Yes. So here's the little backpack. Look. Look at the little straps. It's so cute. And there's an option to put a button or like a sort of strap that just goes through a loop. And I thought a button would be better for this so that things didn't fall out. So I'll undo the button. I mean, it's a brilliant, as with all of Julie's patterns, it's a brilliantly written pattern. There's like a gusset that comes down the sides here so that you get a wider bottom to the bag, which I think is brilliant. It's knit flat and then you just seam up the sides and then you sew on the little straps. And I used some cotton. I used Sheepy's, is it Katona? It's a 4-ply cotton. And I just had some in my stash, some of those little balls. I think they're 25 grams, aren't they? And I just thought I'd choose a couple of colours that I thought Bryony would like. And her favourite colour is mint. She loves the colour mint. So I thought that would be really nice with some sort of gold coloured handles. But it doesn't fit Goffy. Because of the sort of the way Goffy is constructed, Goffy's a giraffe, if you don't know. It's her most precious giraffe. She's got several of them, to be fair. But the arms sort of come out of the front like this, and the back's quite wide, really, at that point. So this wasn't wide enough, and actually it looked really small, the bag on her back, when I put it on. So I am going to knit another one, but do it in a thicker yarn. I'm going to make one in a DK weight, and I think with a bigger needle, I think that'll come out bigger. And then I'm just going to knit the straps. I'm going to get Goffy there, and I'll knit the straps until I know they will go round her arms. Do giraffes have arms? They don't, do they? They have 4 legs, but you know what I mean. But it's just so cute, and I knit it in the morning. You know, it didn't take me long at all. Really, really sweet little thing. And Bryony has put in here so far, what has she put in? A tiny baby. What a shock. Has anybody seen these? Look. It's a teeny tiny baby. These are all around our house. I made the mistake of getting Bryony a bag of these. She saw this YouTuber a while ago, some college fella in America, and he got a bag of these babies. I think they're designed for baby showers. I'm not sure. I think that's what they're designed for. You know, to put as favours at a baby shower. Yeah. And he was hiding them all around the dorm at the university where he was. And apparently this video is like really popular. So Bryony's like, oh, this is amazing. Mum, you've got to watch this. And I'm like, right, okay. So I thought, oh, it'll be quite cute if I could get her a bag. And you can get them on Amazon. If you just put in tiny babies, it comes up. So I got her a bag of like 100 or something. She's never been as happy as when I gave her that bag of tiny babies. But we're the ones that look stupid now, because literally you go in a room and they're everywhere. She puts them like tops of door frames and hides them in little nooks and crannies. I found one this morning in the bathroom in the soap dish. Yeah. So there's a tiny baby in there. But it's fun, isn't it? You know, these are the things that you remember, don't you, when she's grown up and she's left home. We'll miss finding those tiny babies.
No, because we'll still be finding them.
Well, that's true. So
as your shawl woman.
That's the second thing. Right.
Everyone has been waiting all episode to see your bobbles.
See it. Yes, I finished the Cowboys and Angels shawl.
After all that bobble talk at the start of the show.
It's enormous. I don't know how I'm going to show this. What's on the screen, Dan?
A huge shawl, Kay.
Can you see all of it?
Yes.
Is that a good view of it?
Yes.
It's absolutely enormous. But isn't it glorious?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I love it so. Look at that. Oh, I love it so much. And I almost didn't run out of yarn.
Oh, wow.
I almost didn't. But I slightly did.
That's like one of those questions.
I slightly did.
I can't quite work out what that means.
No, I slightly did run out of yarn.
Oh, okay.
I was fine for all of the colours, apart from the Cascade Heritage yarn in the pale grey. And I think I mentioned last time I thought I'd run out, and I did. I only needed to break into a new skein for a row and a half. But, you know, I had to do it. All of the other yarn, I've got just a little nugget left over, enough, you know, for a mitered square or, you know, whatever scrappy project. And I think I just love it. I made one amendment. If I fold it up, I'll be able to show you a bit better.
Was that the...
It was the ribbing.
Oh, yes.
Now, in the pattern, I didn't understand the logic behind the sort of rib that was in the pattern, but I chose to do a 2x2. because you can actually see it on the photos. Actually, you can see on the photos that it's a 3x1 rib. So I'm not telling you anything you can't physically see. But I know from experience with a 3x1 rib, it tends to, it's not curl so much, but because there's not as many pearl stitches, it just doesn't seem to lie as flat. And the very sort of where you cast off does tend to sort of roll in a little bit. And I didn't want that to happen. And it was really easy just to modify it to a 2x2 rib. And that to me made much more sense. So that's what I did. I've done a 2x2.
Lovely.
And there might be sort of 1 or 2 rows less than the pattern recommends, because I just worked until I knew I wouldn't have enough yarn left over to do 2 more rows. You know, because you bind off on the right side, so you've got to work 2 rows, you know, then do the bind off. In hindsight, I wouldn't have done the bind off that's in the pattern. It's a very stretchy bind off and very time consuming. But I wanted to follow the pattern, and it's worked out fine. You know, it looks absolutely fine, the bind off. But I think it was slightly not needed. I don't think you really need, because it's a triangular shawl, I don't think you really need a super stretchy bind off. So in hindsight, I would have done a simpler bind off. I wouldn't have done the sort of straightforward knitted bind off. I would probably have done the one where you knit 2 together, don't you, through the back loop, and then pass that back to the left-hand needle and repeat. I would have probably done that one because that is quite stretchy, but it's much quicker. This one took me a long time. It took me an hour, 2 hours to bind off. But it's done now, and it's gorgeous, and I blocked it, and it's huge. You see, that is my only thing. How the devil am I going to wear this? Because it's massive. You know, let me stand up. Look, it goes off screen. That's how massive it is. I don't think it's sort of practical to wear it. And you could, I suppose what I could do is roll up all of that. This is probably the thing to do, isn't it? Roll it up and then wrap it. But then it is very big around my neck.
That's all right in the winter.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to wear it, isn't it? And it is very cosy then on a winter day. I would do that. You know, just thinking about it now, that, you know, a bit more pretty than that. I've just thrown it on, haven't I? But I think that's the way to wear it. So roll it up a little bit and then wrap it around.
Yeah.
You know, you could just wear it if you were just sitting in a morning, you know, doing a bit of knitting. Then you could just wrap it around your shoulders, couldn't you? Because it would wrap all the way round. And you could wear it like that, couldn't you? And pin a shawl pin. That would also be really nice. So I think there are lots of ways you can wear it. And it's gorgeous. And I did enjoy knitting it, just apart from really that last bit when the rows just got, like, ridiculous. But I love it. And, you know, I'm so glad I knit it. So this is Cowboys and Angels by Isabel Kramer. I would really recommend the pattern. Whoops, I've folded it the wrong way. And I used, instead of the DK weight, which is recommended in the pattern, I used 2 strands of fingering weight held together. And that's how I got that lovely sort of speckly mould sort of effect. And I think it worked perfectly. And it's a great use for, you know, if you got 2 special skeins of yarn and then just paired those with like a solid, like the Cascade Heritage, for example, is brilliant, that I used, or any of the other sort of solids or tonals. It's a great use for a couple of lovely skeins of yarn, or 4 if you wanted to pair 4 together. So I'm thrilled that that's finished. I need to take some nice photos, I think.
You'd need that if you joined me on the walk.
Was it chilly?
It was very chilly.
Oh,
but
that's quite nice.
As we leave the moorland, as we come down off the moorland, it's now going to warm up a little bit.
Right.
And as it warms up, you're going to get, I mean, honestly, some of the most quintessentially Dalesy English views.
Rolling hills and
Just
stone walls and farmers'
beautiful.
fields, yeah.
Less talk, more action, as we return for part 2 of Walking the Dales.
Dales, and we have our first cows of the series. Now we are of course in search of Arklebeck, which I'm told is at the end of this path, but I think we've got one more farmyard to walk through before we get there. Let's see what we can see. I can hear the beck. My goodness, it sounds more like a waterfall actually. It's amazing. We have had a lot of rain though. I've got to say, I'm thrilled to be back on roads. I've definitely served my time today on the moorland. But I'm told down here, if we take just a short detour off the path, we'll find a lovely bridge. There was a little bridge. Oh my goodness. It's gone. Wow. That just tells you the amount of water we've had, doesn't it? Look at that. But that's okay. It was only a minor detour anyway, and I've come off the path to find it, so I'm now going to find my way back onto the path that we've come off. What I mean, that must have been a torrent of water that's blown that bridge out. Wow. Thankfully, most of that's gone now, but it's probably, oh, crumbs, a month or two ago. It was terrible. It was raining and raining and raining. And I'm guessing that's what's led to the end of that poor little bridge. Back onto the road we go, and we're now going to start making our way down to a village I have actually visited once before, and it was just gorgeous. It's called Whaw. I think that's how you pronounce it. W-H-A-W. Just cross over Arklebeck. First time we've properly seen it, or no, that'll be a tributary of Arklebeck. Hilltop Farm. Unbelievable. It's very true, it is a hilltop farm, but it's not the hilltop farm. That is, of course, the home of Beatrix Potter, and that is in the Lake District. And we're not in the Lake District. This is most definitely the Yorkshire Dales. I've never seen, I'm sure these are foxgloves. Of course, I'll be wrong now. We'll have it right on the screen for you, and I think you've probably already seen them. But I'm sure we used to grow these in our garden when I was young, and I've never ever seen them in the wild before. They're beautiful, aren't they? And they are literally everywhere. My goodness. Growing out of the side of what will be the leftovers. And it's, I mean, they've even made the walls with it that are fencing off the fields. And look, they're there, they're underneath the trees too. And look, there's one here. This is just a beautiful road. It really is. I've never been on this before in my life. And it is the epitome really of what you would imagine the Yorkshire Dales to be. Birds flying past, trees rustling, it's gorgeous. So we're following the course of Arkle Beck now, and the beck, it doesn't sound like much, does it? It sounds like less than a stream, or it certainly always did to me, but you couldn't be more wrong. People actually canoe down it, which I think is just fascinating. I'll tell you something. Llamas. I didn't expect to see that in the Yorkshire Dales. Oh no. I wouldn't fancy canoeing down Arkle Beck, thanks very much. And it's amazing, isn't it, to think that Arkle, he must have been quite the guy to think that they named a beck after him, and there it is actually. I mean, a Viking raider, but you know, you wonder if he was like super evil or if he was like really good and that's how he got his name. I think I see Whaw on the horizon. So as we leave Whaw behind us, and what an amazing place, that obviously would have been the home to miners in years gone by. Now I think there's holiday rentals there and all sorts, but the atmosphere is just unbelievable here. It's totally different to up the top. It's much easier underfoot as well, which I'm very happy about. And that bridge that you've just seen, it had its moment of fame because it was used in the very first series of All Creatures Great and Small. I think James Herriot brought his bride-to-be here and they broke down, and there's a famous picture of them in front of the bridge, I think, as I just get through this next lovely little gate. But, you know, just like the miners, the TV cameras have gone, and now all that's left is really you and me, some absolutely amazing wildlife and flowers, and it's stunning. And you know, every sort of direction that you look in is like a feast for the eyes. Now before me is an area of special scientific interest. This is an area of meadow, and it's been unchanged for generations. Do you know what? I don't think I've ever been anywhere quite like this. It has an atmosphere unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I think what it comes down to is this was a worked landscape for thousands of years. And the jobs that were here brought families and incomes and shops and churches and homes. But now that's all gone. And I think because of that, there is a sort of feeling of emptiness. I can't help but think that the final story of this dale is what we're experiencing now. I'm convinced that there's more to the story. This is just but a chapter. And I think when you look on it in that way, this can suddenly feel like a moment of calm and a moment of absolute beauty. Because I've honestly never been on a walk with such contrasts, from the crazy moorland, boggy, totally ludicrous stuff up the top of the dale, right the way down here to walking along the banks of Arkle Beck. And I couldn't really think of a more perfect place to stop, because would you believe it? I can see my car and our journey is nearly over. But what a journey we've had! What a walk, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad we've got back here for a proper explore. This, for me, is the real Yorkshire Dales. It's a little bit wild, it's a little bit rugged, it's lived in, but my goodness, it's full of history and it's just beautiful. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for more Walking the Dales.
That actually was my favourite walk yet.
Mine too. I said that when I watched it back.
You did. And the reason for it is you get everything that the Yorkshire Dales is, from the wild moorlands, from the very top of the dale right the way down to, you know, the complete opposite, you know, the sort of shielded from the wind villages that, you know, once were occupied by, you know, the farm workers and the miners, and you know, it gives you in one hit, you know, one lovely walk, everything that the Yorkshire Dales is, and it has just the most amazing feeling. It's and you know, I go back to what I said earlier on in today's show. I'm just so unbelievably grateful that we've ended up in this position doing what we're doing now with Walking the Dales, because, you know, it has been food for the soul.
Yeah, it's, and because, you know, because Dan's been doing this by himself, it's great for me to watch as well, and I think I get to appreciate it more from a viewer's point of view.
Yeah.
because I think that's great for us to have that knowledge as well.
Oh, it is. And also, what it's enabled me to do is do walks like this, because this was not on the schedule when we'd initially planned, for both Kay and I to be going on these walks, because I knew it was going to be hard going. And I'm so glad that it was on the schedule, because for me, like I just said, it's been my favourite one so far, and I think it's going to be hard to top. But top it we will try, because we're not even halfway through the series. There's still so many wonderful walks to go. Next time, though, Kay's going to be finishing off the season of Pudding Club.
Pudding Club.
She's going to go out with a bang. And then it'll be time to vote, of course.
You can see me thinking then, because I've got a few things in my mind.
Well, you've got time.
I need to do a bit of...
You've got time to think about it.
I need to do a bit of baking to decide which I want to do.
Always a winner.
Because Dan gets to eat it. I try not to eat it all, which is difficult, isn't it?
Sample, make sure it's as perfect as it can be.
Normally I just have what you see me taste, and I try not to have any more if I can help it. I don't always succeed in that, but,
My goodness, folks, it's time already for the Endy Bits. Time just flies.
It does.
When you're having fun. Now, the Race to the Moon Cal is going from strength to strength. We just awarded our halfway point prizes in the most recent patron-only show.
I sent out some lovely yarn.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's not too late for you to come and join us. The knit-along, the year-long knit-along is open to Bakery Bear patrons, and the running and the walking is open to anybody. And details for how to join is in our show notes below. So please do come and join us. You've got some things.
I bought a couple of things. The first is I bought a new Notions pouch because I saw this. I think somebody that I follow on Instagram had linked this shop, and I went and had a look, and I thought, oh my goodness, it looks so sweet. So I bought a little Notions pouch from her. The maker's name she's called Lizzie, and the shop, look at the card, is called Taffety Mouse. Look at that little mouse. It's so adorable. And look at this sweet Notions pouch. It's a little patchwork Notions pouch. How cute is that? And some of these I think are Liberty. I'm sure that one, I think this one is Liberty. I'm not sure what the other are. And I love the little shape of it. And it's padded, it's quilted. And I like how the drawstrings are inside. So you pull them from the inside. I've never had a bag like that. Normally they come from the outside, don't they? So I've got this filled up already. I just love it. And she does full-size bags as well. So I definitely will be going back to her shop, because I think it's just adorable. And such, just little, I love, scrap projects. We all love them, don't we? And this is kind of the equivalent, isn't it? Just these little bits of fabric. And the colours are just very me, aren't they? So I love that. So thank you, Lizzie. And then I bought some yarn. Now, this is way out of my normal yarn zone, if you like. Because I wanted for ages to knit. I want a lightweight hat that I can wear even in the summer some days. For example, when you took us back for that walk the other day, it was 21 degrees here when we left and sunny, and when we got up there it was 14 degrees and it felt quite chilly.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
Did.
I could not believe the difference. Just for days like that, just a lightweight little hat you can keep in your bag. And I was just thinking of what yarns to use, and I remembered this yarn because I remember the Yarniacs, Gail and Charlene, I'm sure have used this yarn quite a lot. So I thought, right, I'm going to go and have a look at it. And it's the Holst garn. And I think it's Danish. Yeah, holstgarn.dk.
Yeah,
that's Denmark, isn't it? I'm sure it was Denmark. And I ordered this from their website. It's within Europe, and it didn't really take long at all to get to me. I was surprised how quick it was. And I got two bases. The one I wanted is the Coast, because it's partly cotton. It's 55% lamb's wool, 45% cotton. And I know that Gail and Charlene, I think, have knit garments in this because it's really lightweight and not too hot. They live in a hot part of America. It's a very fine yarn. So I got azure, two skeins, balls. And then I got another colour in the coast, silver grey. I got 2 of those. And then I thought also I'd try just the super soft, which is 100% wool. And I got Fenland, 2 skeins of Fenland in that because I thought I might knit something for Dan with that. The yardage is huge. Like on the coast, 50 grams, you get 350 metres. It's a light fingering weight. It's quite fine. I would say it's between a lace and a fingering weight. I don't know if you can see if I hold it up. I have honestly no clue what needles to knit this on. It says 2.5 to 3 millimetres, but I feel that 3 millimetres would be a bit gappy. I'm going to try 2.5, I think, and see what that does. I know from what Gail and Charlene have said that this blooms really beautifully because it's still got spinning oils in it, and actually. It doesn't smell bad now, but that one's quite sheepy.
Yeah, I was going to disagree with you.
That's the 100% wool. It smells very sheepy, but nice.
I'll tell you what to do. Okay, buy this yarn, watch Walking the Dales.
Yeah, and sniff it.
And as I'm walking through, do you know the bit in Walking the Dales where I walk through that farmyard? Do this. And then it's 3D then. You've got the sounds, you've got the visual, and you've got the smells, because literally is how that farmyard smelled.
The coast one, not so much, but I think that's because there's a lot of cotton in it.
Right.
But the super soft, it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice. When I first took it out of the bag, it smelled very sheepy, but actually now it's been out in the air for a bit, it just smells pleasantly sheepy.
It's reminiscent of Wensleydale cheese.
Yeah, it's really nice. But it feels, it's lovely. And even the 100% wool one does feel more woolly, but not super prickly or anything. And I think when it's had a wash too, that will probably soften it up. And it's called super soft, isn't it? So I'm intrigued by this, and I've got tons really. 350 metres in one skein. I'm not even probably going to use that, am I, for a hat? But I thought I'd get 2.
And Kay's actually going to be doing one of her 3-part reviews with this. She's going to be doing an off the shelf, on the needles, and off the needles review. And that's coming in the autumn. And
the price is amazing. It was something like just a few dollars the prices were in dollars on the website, just a few dollars for a skein. It was really, really reasonable. It didn't cost me very much at all for these, 6 little balls I've got. So I would, I'm not saying I recommend it at the moment because I haven't used it, but so far I'm really loving how it looks, and I do just want to get a hat on the go. I think initially I might just knit a plain hat just to get the feel of the yarn and to see how it's then going to wash and block, and then it may be that I use it for a design or something after that. I've got plenty, so and if it's nice, then I could use this, the green for you.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be really interesting. I'm looking forward to working with that.
Is that everything?
Yes.
Lovely. Folks, we will see you in 3 weeks on the 28th of August for episode 157 and the final of the Pudding Club 2020. It sounds like a BBC One show. Oh, yes. Now, that's 1 extra week than normal, and we're so sorry about that. It is, in fact, it's our only week off a year. We're coming up to probably our most busy filming time as we get ready for this year's Bakery Bears Advent Calendar.
Yes.
So we're off for a week and then we're back. But Bakery Bear patrons, there is no disruption in service. Of course not. Because you have got coming up the final Knitty U course has just started.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes, and it's running all the way through August. I'm back next week with another behind the scenes, showing you how to get absolutely everything possible out of being a Bakery Bear patron. And we've got reviews on the way. My new garment knitting show's coming on the 27th of August, actually. We've just pushed it back a week just to give me a bit more time to make that final decision on what I'm knitting next.
Because we've not decided, or you've not decided.
And so much more. So, folks, thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
And we will see you in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
For episode 157 and the final. Actually, as well, we can also make it our Let's Say Goodbye to Summer episode.
Absolutely. It'll be nearly September. I don't care what the weather's going to be doing, but once we hit September, for me,
I say we put out the bunting.
We wave
have a
goodbye
celebration
to the summer.
I never thought I would
arms,
get to this
we
point.
will go running towards autumn.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for watching,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
And we'll see you in 3 weeks for more.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Sitting and knitting, it's Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's in your oven, or maybe a shawl you'll want to wear. So sit yourself right down and watch Dan and Kay, the bakery